Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Binance Podcast. My name is Djie. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Binance. So what I want to do with this show is to spend time talking to specialists, entrepreneurs, scholars, influencers, basically leading people from a variety of industries. Hopefully, through these conversations, we can share insights on how blockchain is changing not just these different industries, but also in changing the world. Here's a quick disclaimer. All opinions expressed by our host and our guests on this podcast are merely their own opinions. They do not imply any endorsements or opinions of their companies. You should not take these opinions as specific investment advice, as you will be solely responsible for your own investment.
Hi everybody, this is Djie, and I'm really excited to bring you another episode of the Binance Podcast. Today, I'm joined by the co-founders of Toko Crypto, the current CEO, Djie, as well as board advisor, Shaun Djie. Both are actually veterans within the crypto community, and they, in conjunction with several others, co-founded Toko Crypto 2 years ago in Indonesia. For those of you who do not know, Binance recently announced its investments into Toko Crypto, as well as Toko Crypto recently last week soft launched relaunched its exchange in conjunction with Binance Cloud. So for me, I've actually been working with the guys here since I helped to lead the investment into the deal. So I'm super excited to bring a really young and exciting team who are actually extremely active in shaping the future of crypto in Indonesia, and to hear a little bit about the backstory of where they come from and how they got into crypto, and how they founded Toko Crypto 2 years ago, and which was actually the first exchange in Indonesia to receive a license from the Bapepti, which is the lead regulator for the cryptocurrency industry, as well as I think other financial services. And also what's it like to work with the Binance team so far to help, especially the Binance Cloud team, to relaunch their exchange. And also what we have to look forward to in terms of the current really dynamic market in Indonesia, as well as sort of, what do we have to look forward to for Toko Crypto. And I'll start with Kai and Shaun. I'll let you guys maybe introduce a little bit about yourself, and then we can jump right into the sort of learning more about Toko and learning more about Indonesia.
Okay, thanks Wei, for organizing this. So my name is Shaun, one of the co-founders and board advisors of Toko Crypto, an exchange that was founded back in 2018 in Jakarta of Indonesia. So I think back then we saw like this opportunity where, just having a very simple gateway to getting people access to cryptocurrency as a form of new alternative investment. Indonesia has always been a very fragmented market when it comes to investing in anything that's international, whether it's in FX, equities, commodities, or bonds. The market has always been a little bit more sheltered and, just located to just its own borders. So back then, the partners, myself, Djie, Jody, and a couple of other guys, we saw this opportunity to actually launch a very simple one-click platform for people to buy and sell into just main cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. It was also the whole start of the wave of ICOs. So a lot of interest were coming not only from retail investors, but from institutional guys as well. So we kind of saw like, okay, maybe it's time to put together a team. And that's when we did a simple round of funding back then, where we got the QCP Capital guys, probably one of the leading investment firms out here in Southeast Asia, as well as some of the angel investors from the banking world here in Singapore, to actually co-fund this exchange and kickstart it back in 2018. Yeah, so my experience is more or less in the crypto space. I'm also a co-founder at Djie, one of the earlier Ethereum-backed companies out there in the space, and have always been dabbling in cryptocurrencies since 2014. Yeah, over to you, Kai.
Thanks, Shaun, and thanks, Djie, for having us on this podcast today. For my experience, I personally moved over to Indonesia in early 2018 to see the runnings and the startup of the whole Toko Crypto back in the early 2018. So, like what Shaun mentioned, initially when we started, we wanted to provide a very simple one-click gateway where people could easily access cryptocurrencies using their fiat currency, which is the rupiah in Indonesia. And that was largely a focus for us as we initially rolled out in 2018. We have been working very closely together with the regulators all the way since the forming of the regulations back in 2018 till the point where we got our regulations, being the first regulated cryptocurrency exchange in Indonesia in November 2019. And since then, we've been very happy that we were able to work very closely with Binance and Wei's team in securing this investment from Binance. And also that we're happy that we soft launched our Toko Crypto version 2.0, which is powered by Binance Cloud. And we look forward to having many more new products to roll out inside the Indonesian market as we look to capture more market share in Indonesia.
I'll jump in right here. In terms of what was it like when you first tried to launch it? Like, because I understand there's a very strong incumbent in Indonesia, and then what was sort of like some of the things that you try to do in differentiating yourselves when you launched the original Toko Crypto?
Right. So I'll take this question, yeah, Shaun. So for us, when we built Toko Crypto, we had in mind that we wanted to be fully compliant with the regulations that at that point wasn't in place. We wanted to be the first exchange in Indonesia to actually have this compliance to the regulators and to have this to build on trust and confidence by the people in Indonesia. Like what Shaun mentioned, the investment market in Indonesia is one that is very fragmented, and we saw that there is a need to build confidence and trust, especially in the new industry such as the cryptocurrency market. Our differentiator, mainly towards the incumbent exchanges in Indonesia, is that we wanted to build it from the ground up to be compliant with the regulators. We also focus largely on the easy deposit and withdrawal of fiat currencies into our exchange, and the easy access that we enable users to be able to access and buy and sell cryptocurrencies. That's our main differentiator from the other exchanges, and I think we have done very well in making ourselves stand out from our competitors.
Sure. Shaun, I'll put the question back to you. I think you've been actively involved in Southeast Asia in the crypto space, and can you tell a little bit about, or talk to our listeners a little bit about, a little bit more background into Indonesia? From my perspective, not just within sort of the crypto sense, but actually in terms of overall, because I think Indonesia as a whole maybe have some bad reputation globally due to a combination of, it's, I think, historical reasons with some of the terrorism stuff, Asian financial crisis stuff. But I think over the last 5 to 10 years, it's been extremely stable politically, and economically, I think it's been growing gangbusters. And it has a large number of young population, extremely internet savvy, and also mobile first. And can you just talk a little bit about the dynamicism, I think, within the Indonesian market right now?
Sure, yeah. So I think Indonesia as a market actually has a lot of similar profile as some of the other Southeast Asian economies out there, like Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand. In words, it's a very mobile-first economy, like what you said. The smartphone penetration is probably one of the highest in that region so far, and it's definitely one of the, or if not the biggest population of all of Southeast Asia. But the very one thing that limits its population from spending outside of its country is actually the very own currency, Indonesian rupiah, which is a highly capital-controlled currency. As we have seen also, there's a lot of different startup unicorns that happen out there in Indonesia. Companies like Gojek that almost mirrors something like what Uber is trying to do out there in the West, or even has that kind of like blend between what WeChat and the Grab from Singapore is actually offering. So you have that kind of like profile of mega tech companies that came around in the last 5 or 7 years. And then you have companies like Tokopedia, which is a little bit like the Alibaba kind of like e-commerce platform style. So we do recognize that the tech talent in Indonesia is actually very vast. It covers everything from mobile economy to e-commerce to even the new wave of like financial technologies. But the one thing that's actually lacking in all these different companies out there is transparency, as well as a very reputable kind of like backing, everything from like advisors to investors and funding perspective of the companies. So I guess we saw that the opportunity in Indonesia is to create something that's very reputable. Cryptocurrency itself has some form of a bad taboo back then in 2018 as being like a quick rich scheme for ICO companies. So we really wanted to correct that and not offer any other kind of like alternative tokens on the platform itself, just going straight to offering what the main currencies people will associate with, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and Litecoin and stuff like that. We just want to go straight to that kind of currencies, while at the same time assessing that fiat gateway. I think the country itself has vast potential in a sense of like spending power, in the sense of like influencership across social media platforms that has a very big kind of like buying power that it allocates to its youth that's actually coming up to spend from their own newfound wealth. So turnover of tech talent is extremely high, yes, but it also shows that the country itself is pretty much quite ripe for any kind of new wave of technologies, whether is it in investing form or is it in consumer form.
Yeah, I mean, but like as you mentioned, it does have the largest, population of all the Southeast Asian countries, right? I think close to 300 million, like 300. But it's extremely diversified, right? In terms of, I think there's like a core group on sort of in Jakarta, but then there's many hundreds of islands, so it's quite dispersed.
Right. Yeah, of course. It stretches, like almost 3 time zones across the whole country. It definitely has one of the highest, or if not the highest, smartphone penetration market out there. So in terms of getting people involved in micro spending or micro accumulating wealth, as we see, like Facebook has been extremely successful in that region. So we're just trying to actually replicate and ride on a kind of bandwagon of people getting involved in technologies to buy and actually spend or invest their wealth.
And just for a little background of our listeners, I think Toko, I just looked it up. It actually means like shop, right? So because you mentioned there's a company called Tokopedia, which is kind of like the bookshop, and here we are, the crypto shop. So in Toko Crypto. And Kai, you moved there to start the business. What has your experience been in terms of running sort of a startup in Jakarta? Is there a lot of buzz on the ground? Is there a lot of people moving there to sort of start up? Because I think the last 4 or 5 years, at least I've seen it, there's a lot of interest, at least from, I think, Southeast Asian investors, but definitely a lot of interest from Chinese investors coming into Indonesia.
Yeah, in terms of interest-wise, definitely there has been a huge amount of interest by cryptocurrency companies that are coming into Indonesia. If you look at 2018, 2019 itself, from when we first started Toko, I could count the number of exchanges that were operating in Indonesia to be about around 5. It went all the way up till about 1920 in late 2019, and since have been plateauing and tapering off a bit. The number of, in terms of the number of exchanges that is operating in Indonesia. Part of the reason why that there were exchanges that were shutting down too, as well, is because they weren't able to meet the regulations that came out together for that piece release. There are also a lot of interest by foreign exchanges, foreign VCs that are looking into Indonesia purely because of what you mentioned way just now, the sheer size of the population coming close to 300 million people. In terms of the buzz on the ground, definitely, in terms of the crypto space, there has been a lot of people that talking about it. There has been a lot of people that want to learn more about it. But Indonesia, contrary to the other countries in the world, it's still one step or 2 steps behind in terms of the financial knowledge, in terms of the financial industry. People are still learning. If you ask around, people are aware of cryptocurrencies, but they are unsure of what it actually is, what are the benefits that it can actually bring them. So definitely people are looking out for more information, they're looking out for more education, which is something that Toko Crypto, we are also geared towards to. We want to bring this round of education about blockchain technology, about cryptocurrencies to the people, to allow them to gain trust in Toko, to allow them to gain trust in the blockchain space, in the crypto space, in the crypto world, and for them to start trading and start investing in cryptocurrencies.
That's actually a really interesting point, especially in terms of on the investing side. Because I think one of the use cases, or one of the investment cases for cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, some of the major coins, is actually just certain, more adoption leads to, an increase, in Bitcoin value, right? That's something that we've seen. I would say pretty obvious pattern since the beginning. But I think there's a ton of volatility in between. So what do the local, I would say, investors feel about crypto, say, versus, some of the other asset classes that they could potentially invest in?
Right. For local investors, definitely there has been since 2018, sometime in 2018, when Bitcoin prices, 2019, when Bitcoin prices peak at $20,000. It is a fact that there are a lot of local investors that have been burnt, from the fall from grace of Bitcoin price all the way down to hovering about $4,000. There has been a repercussion from that, whereby local investors are looking at alternatives such as in the stocks exchange. Local stocks exchange in Indonesia. one of recent developments was that in terms of the local stocks exchange, they went up by 30% just because of the capital flow that's coming from foreign investments, particularly from the States, from Europe, and there's this flow into the flow into the stocks markets in Indonesia. Now, as for the future view of crypto, yes, crypto has also grown since 3 months back, price about 4,000 to where it is right now, about coming close to 10,000 US dollars. This definitely is starting to generate more hype from the local investors, as everyone is locked up at home right now, right? And they are looking for mechanisms and means for them to make money from the money they have. I was speaking to some of my close friends, and they have actually, those that have not done trading ever before in their lives, have actually started to trade stocks, trade commodities, and also starting to trade crypto. As we are starting to take on the new normal in post this COVID situation, I do expect, we do have a very optimistic outlook of crypto space and trading space in crypto in Indonesia, as more and more people are looking for ways whereby they can start to earn passive income or side income.
Mm-hmm. When you guys are, you've had a successful launch on your own, and then I think we started talking to each other later half of last year. I would say, what made you pick sort of Binance as one of your, major investors during this process? As a sort of a locally founded, local team, local exchange, like what sort of made I got you sort of on looking at investors, what made you pick Binance as one of your investment partners?
Perhaps I can jump on this point. Obviously, you guys are probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest name out there in the entire industry. And I think we saw last year from early of 2019, of course, CZ also made the global announcement saying that he really wants to bring crypto to the masses. And one of the key initiatives of doing so is to enable different fiat gateways, whether would it be happening out there in Africa or would it be happening in other parts of Asia. I guess that was one of the drawing factors that also aligned in Toko's vision, which is to have fiat currency as the de facto currency and the de facto gateway to getting people involved. Because I always believe fundamentally, if you can't buy anything with US dollars or your own currency, pretty much wouldn't really exist in your own economies. It becomes too cumbersome and there will be too many different steps for you to get involved, and you just simply would give up. Especially when it comes to crypto and the whole idea about public key and private key. It has enough educational headache on its own. So I guess that the investment actually from Binance made a lot of sense. I believe we started talking as well last year because we were looking at getting this strategic partner that could not only just help in the technological front, but also help in the marketing and the brand name, especially in Indonesia, a country where you really need some kind of a powerhouse brand name to push your agenda to say hey, look, we are legit, we're not a fly-by-night shop. We're out there trying to really create a real financial institution. And the whole licensing regime that came from Indonesia was probably the first in the region. But it was even more comprehensive than what was offered out there in Philippines, in Malaysia, in Vietnam and Thailand. Even Singapore right now is still only just going through its licensing application status. But Indonesia out there has really issued, and Toko itself, we have gotten the very first registered license issued by the commodities regulating body called Bapepti out here in Indonesia. So I guess it was very timely, and the opportunity was ripe for both of us to get involved together, whether it's from Binance and Toko, to be actually launching a regulated exchange, at the same time riding on that brand name to actually build the business from the ground up.
That's actually a really good point. Can you talk a little bit about the current regulation regime in Indonesia? Because I think there's probably lack of awareness or lack of knowledge in terms of who the regulator is, and then what specifically do they regulate.
So in terms of cryptocurrency in Indonesia, it's in a very unique position right now. The exchanges are currently regulated by the commodities and derivatives regulators. Basically, the regulations regulate that. They regulate in terms of paid up capital and in terms of transactions that happen on platform. And also it covers on things like compliance and KYC protocols, as well as KYT protocols. So these are the things that have to be reported over to the regulators on a daily, monthly, and annually basis. And also they come in to make sure that these transactions are valid and they're not, in any way related to money laundering or terror funding activities, which is sometimes what cryptocurrency is usually associated with. So this definitely comes in, this this movement by the regulators that definitely comes in at a timely time in providing for a safer and more trusty environment for traders to actually come in to trade. This is especially so for the family offices. So Indonesia, one of the interesting things about Indonesia is that there are the existence of large family offices that have that have new generation scions that are coming up that are looking for new areas to invest their money in. So with this regulations, definitely it provides a more secure space and environment for these scions of these family offices to be able to trust in the space and also to put in their start trading and start putting in their money to invest in the cryptocurrency space.
That's actually a really good point, because I think if crypto is to go mainstream, I think trust is a huge issue. And then I think in countries where I would say more diverse and then really dynamic, I think having a regulator coming in and taking an active role in terms of actually promoting the growth of it is actually a good thing. What do you think, Shaun? You've sort of looked at other countries in Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think having the regulator to play hand in hand with the business gives a lot of legitimacy. When you're selling to actually institutional customers who are looking to trade, institutional sizes of anywhere between half a buck to a couple of $1 million in investment volume on a daily basis, you want to have a product that is regulated. If you look out there in the West, there's a lot of different states around the US that offers various forms of legitimacy on different crypto products, whether they are ETP-based, exchange-traded product-based, or they are forms of investment funds that you can get involved in, having the exposure to crypto without having the physical underlying stored in your own private keys. I think we want to move in the same direction as what is being demonstrated in traditional investment products, whether it's in FX, in equities, or in structured products. The whole idea is that you need to have creditworthiness, you need to have regulatory oversight, and you need to have the whole ease of transparency when it comes to investors and pricing of the product itself. So I guess that we have all three ingredients aligned together in this particular collaborative initiative with Binance, which is to provide regulatory oversight, which is to provide the idea of transparent pricing.
That makes a lot of sense. And Kai, I'll go back to you in terms of what do we have to look forward to? Because I know what we have to look forward to in terms of product launches coming soon on Toko. Can you just share a little bit about what do users on Toko or future users on Toko have to look forward towards in terms of product, fiat, on-ramps, token offerings, etc.?
There are a lot of things that are currently planned for in the pipeline and the roadmap of Toko. Things that our users can look forward to are things like more listings, more tokens that are being offered. Right now, Toko V 2.0 is currently built on Binance Cloud. We also expect to see the mobile app that will definitely come in. And Indonesia being a country which is has one of the largest penetration of mobile technology, this mobile app will definitely come in to be very useful for our users in Indonesia. Also, we're also looking Toko to launch our own platform token, same like how for the other exchanges around the world. And as we identify that, yes, it does enable exchanges to be able to bolster the transaction volumes and to be able to attract users onto the platform. And it just makes sense that Toko should have our own platform tokens. Those are the things that are coming down the road. We're also looking to have more deposit channels onto Toko for users to be able to easily access our platform and easily deposit rupiah onto our platform. We want to open up as many deposit channels as possible. In Indonesia, one of the things we know that it's also one of the countries which has a very large penetration of digital wallets. Things like GoPay, OVO, Dana, Link-Aja, just to name a few of the big digital wallets out there. We intend to integrate all of these onto the Toko platform, whereby we can allow for users to deposit into our platform. We also, one additional thing, aside from the exchange, is that we also have BIDR launched together with Binance. And we're looking to increase the fungibility of BIDR, whereby users will not only be able to trade BIDR, but they will also be able to use BIDR in their daily lives to be able to use it to pay for, let's say, their telephone bills, utility bills, those are some of the really exciting things that we have lined up and that we are currently working on together with Binance, together with Binance Cloud, and hope that we can roll out these soon to our users. And these are the things that, definitely happy to share, and definitely something that all of us can look forward to.
Great. Thank you for that summary. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. I would like to, again, to say thank you to Kai and to Shaun. I look forward to a very happy, long, and prosperous cooperation between Binance and Toko. And we look forward to bringing, I think, a lot more advanced products that Binance has developed, through Toko to the users in Indonesia. Thanks, guys, for your time.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. If you like this show, please share this episode on Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, WeChat, or any other social media platforms. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Binance Podcast, and see you next time.